I got back from a run and I opened my email and I just had 4 emails and they were all the same thing. And I just thought to myself, this happens every day.
He helped TikTok go global, and now he's fixing how we schedule our lives. Dan Bulteel is the co-founder of Ting, an AI calendar tool backed by Google, designed to save time and make meetings human again.
What was the moment that made you say, aha, I have built the Ting?
It knows your calendars and it knows your preferences, and it can do it instantly on the server through Ting views. Scheduling pain just completely disappears because technology does it kind of on the server versus in your inbox.
In this episode, we dive into how AI can save time, connect people, and redefine what productivity really means.
AI can get us together because when we're together, that's where the originality, the creativity, all the magic truly happens.
Hey everyone, today's guest helped TikTok go global and now wants to fix how we schedule our lives. Dan Bulteel is the co-founder of Ting, an AI calendar tool backed by Google, focused on saving time and making meetings human again. Before Ting, Dan led global strategy at Adidas, TikTok in the gaming world, shaping how brands capture attention. In today's episode, we dive into what Dan learned from TikTok's rise, why AI needs to serve people, not replace them, and how Ting is redefining time well spent. Let's get into it. Dan, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's start off from the beginning. Just give us your origin story and how things shaped up to Ting.
Yeah, sure. I'll try and keep it succinct. So
Sure.
I guess I was quite fortunate, well, from my point of view, that I started my career about 17 years ago. And it was very similar to today. People were getting very excited about this thing called social media. I was working in tech PR at the time. My clients were like Yahoo and Intel, surrounded by people that liked using technology to innovate and to connect with customers in different ways. I just was so fascinated with the technology and just surrounded by the right people. So I try to learn as much as I can, kind of similar to what I'm doing right now with AI. And it was just a really good decision. So I followed the right people, I read the right digest. And as I learned more, people started to come towards me and ask me questions. And it helped me kind of stand out at WPP, the agency I was working at the time.
Right.
And then eventually, very fortunate, that brought Adidas to me, which was my first kind of in-house role. They were setting up a social media team in the UK, like a brand focused on youth, a brand really passionate about trying new things and connecting with customers. And basically my career just rode the wave of social media. So I went from Adidas in the UK, I went to the HQ in Germany for 5 years, led social across the football vertical, which is the biggest category for Adidas, then across the brand, and then finally landed up in New York, where I was running all of social media globally, but also creative marketing for Adidas. Along the way, obviously worked very closely with social media platforms, so tech partners, always trying to think, how can we do something different? How can we benefit from this incredible technology to sell or to build community? And I always thought to myself, the next time that I see a really interesting startup or social platform, I kind of want to jump in and experience the platform side, not just the brand side. And I remember there was an article in 2018 in New York Times, and it was about this company called ByteDance and this product called TikTok. And it said, look, this is like the last bright spot of the internet. I kind of loved what they were doing with advertising. I was working quite well with the team. And I just said, look, guys, if there's ever a role that opens up that, needs my type of skills, please let me know, because I would love to jump on board. And fortunately, we had a great relationship and they saw some potential. And I left Adidas to go back to London to work at ByteDance. And again, right place, right time. TikTok and ByteDance became what it is today. And I went from leading social for UK and Europe to globally. And by the time I left, I was running the Center of Excellence for social media across all ByteDance apps. So TikTok Shopping, TikTok Live, CapCut, some of the most popular apps today.
Yes.
And then final stint, video game development, again, very focused on different types of platforms, like live streaming, and very focused on community. And all of that kind of brought me to where I am today, which is the co-founder of Meeting.
Love it. And this is quite a journey. I'm going to dig into it. But speaking of Ting, what was the moment that made you say, aha, I have built Ting, the Ting?
Yeah, so I think obviously, as you know now know from my career, I'd kind of moved about, right? So I'd done agency, I'd done brand, I'd worked in the UK, I'd lived in Germany, I did a brief stint in China, in the US. So I've been all different sides of the table, in all different aspects of the world. And I think the universal truth is that meeting scheduling like sucks, right? No matter where you are, it's very difficult. But the exact moment was, several months ago, I got back from a run and I opened my email and I just had four emails and they were all the same thing, right? It was all just rescheduling a meeting for later that day. One of them was four people and we were trying to get an interview sorted across time zones. One was like my manager. And I spent half an hour just basically replanning my day. And I just thought to myself, this happens every day, right? And I feel like we all wake up, we have a look at our calendar, priorities have shifted, our energy is different, and then we just start to collectively reschedule. And if you think about that from an individual point of view, then from a team point of view, then from a company point of view, then from an industry point of view, collectively, how much time is just wasted in this kind of very dynamic rescheduling?
Yes.
And I just thought to myself, I know enough about AI right now to believe that surely there's a more eloquent solution. And the idea was very simple. Can I just CC in an AI? It knows my calendar. It knows my preferences. It's intelligent enough to understand the context of the thread and just put that kind of admin task on autopilot. And then obviously that helps the meeting get booked, but also gives you more free time to focus on high level tasks. And so that was the idea. I bounced it to my co-founder now, and he believed in it. And we talked to some developers, and then it just kind of snowballed. And here we are now, 6 or 7 weeks into closed beta. We have over 100 active users, and yeah, things are going as well as I could hope for.
Right. But so you pitched it, got backed by Google, and now you're live. What's been kind of the biggest surprise in going from corporate to startup out there?
That's a great question. So I think it's just the change in responsibilities, right? So I'm a CEO and founder now. And the thing that I think I'm great at, the thing that I think has helped me stand out and get investment or get spotted by Google or bring a team together, I do that very rarely. So now I have this expanded responsibility and I have all these other things that I need to focus on, but my natural inclination is to gravitate towards the things I know or the things I think I'm good at. So I think the biggest thing is just understanding that I have a greater responsibility. Maybe the thing that helps us get where we are today is not the thing that I should be focused on. It's hiring, it's product, it's the future of the business, it's investor relations. So I think just my day-to-day and my role and kind of how I like to allocate my time has been the biggest shift for me.
Yep. They're operating like a true startup CEO founder. Fantastic. Yes.
Whack-a-mole. Every day something different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never the same day, right? I get it. Right. And when we talk about Ting, and it isn't just about a scheduling tool, right? It's I think it's more about accelerating human connection.
100%.
Why does it matter to you so much of that part?
I think, maybe some clues in my career. I've spent my entire career focused on social media. And I know social media now, there is a kind of mixed opinion, but I still fundamentally believe any technology that allows you to connect with people at scale is positive, right? It brings you together. It helps you find community. There are people on the internet who have very specific interests, and maybe where they live, they can't meet people that also care about the same thing. So social media opened this door for you to find all these people that might be interested in the same thing as you. So I'm very interested in human connection and how technology can drive it. And like I said, with how Ting works, what Ting wants to do is basically make sure that the meeting happens like with as minimal overhead as possible. Because when people get together, that's where the like magic happens, right? That's where the deals happen, the partnerships happen. If you work at Adidas, it's the first time you get pitched a World Cup campaign, or all these kind of magic moments only happen when people are together. So I think anybody who is working on technology that connects people, it's a kind of noble just cause in my point of view.
And I'm pretty sure this session was booked through Ting, right? With your
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to, yeah. And that's another thing, right? It's always making sure that you are using the product, right? Which sounds simple, but any opportunity to test and get feedback, whether that's booking a podcast or even our internal team meetings. So all of our team, we always book our own meetings with Ting. Sometimes that adds friction because we're not on Slack yet, but it really helps us kind of walk in the shoes of our customers and understand friction points or improvements that we can make.
Yes. And speaking of testing, right? You said that testing in real world data breaks things, but it's also the fastest way to improve. So how are you actually balancing trust versus speed?
So I would say it's an ongoing debate between me and the CTO. Right. So in the best possible way, I think it's a learning journey on both sides. So the product North Star is, we want to build a product that when people use it, they're like, wow, this works, right? Because that is regardless of all the smart things you can do to grow, if people use your product and it works, they'll tell their friends or they'll continue using it. But to get to delightful, you obviously have to catch edge cases in technology. You need to understand all the different technical components that make something delightful. So I think we've been quite considerate. So we went into a closed beta to make sure that we could qualify users. We're very intentional about how many people we brought in at a time to make sure we can catch bugs and improve. But I do think now, 6 weeks into the closed beta, we're getting close to open beta because we want to increase the signal. We want to get as many people in as possible, be very clear where we are technically. We're still in beta, but I think the more people that come through, the more nuance you capture of human communication, because technically you can get there, but actually the way that people talk about meetings is very fluid. The way that people talk about time is, there's a lot of things that you just assume when you're talking to somebody. So if you say, I'm landing, you kind of assume that they know that you're landing in a different time zone. So then if you're landing in a different time zone, the meeting has to be slightly different. So all of these things and all this human kind of nuance of time and meetings and coordination, you're trying to train AI and hope it can understand it eventually.
I love it. Still a fair bit to go, but yeah, I think you're getting there.
Still a way to go. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I think what's been the biggest, I would say, or the best feedback you've got so far, given in this closed beta group that you'll have?
It has to be the first, right? So we went into closed beta. We did big product hunt launch, and it was quite successful. I'd say we captured imagination. People just like the idea that you can CC in an AI, and it kind of takes this like very universal pain away. So I think we did a great job. But the first user went through, and I think on the second day or the first day, we got our first email where I think he basically just said, "Look, I love your product, and I hope other people love it too." And it wasn't like critical feedback, or it wasn't technical feedback, but it was just validation that somebody out there found value. And because it was the first one, and because it was just after launch, I think that's the one that sticks in my mind. We've also had somebody on a more lighter note call us the fairy godmother of scheduling. So I like that because it's like poetry, but I like the other one because it came first.
Excellent. Yes, the fairy godmother. Yeah, scheduling. That's nice. When we talk about the teams, right? In today's world, machine learning, a data scientist are being sucked up left, right, and center. How are you? How is Ting managing that?
On the recruitment side?
Yes, people side.
Yeah, I think so. I think finding talent right now is, on the one hand, incredibly difficult, right? Because developers are so in demand, especially AI related developers. On the other hand, I think we have a very our product idea is very simple, right? It's very simple. As soon as you explain what you're trying to achieve, people's eyes light up, which I think is good, right? Because you can really tell who's interested or not just by having your first conversation. So I think people buy into the product. They also buy into our vision that it's meeting scheduling is not just about minutes, right? It's about finding the right moment where people's energy at the right level and you have a productive conversation. So I think maybe my background, the CTO's background, some of the traction that we've had already, plus just what we're trying to do, right, which is connect people. I think that tends to bring the right people towards you. It doesn't mean that you can go out and hire anybody, because you have to think about being resourceful and also being responsible. But yeah, I think a component of the pedigree of the team, the mission, plus just the simplicity of the idea, and people can imagine what that could become. I think that's been some positive levers in the recruitment side.
And the team, is it global or is it quite UK based right now?
No, it's UK Europe based right now. And funnily enough, so myself and the CTO, we actually matched on YC's matching platform. And she's incredible, and she's got a great background, and she could work wherever she wants to work. But the fun thing was, by her going through the process of trying to meet with other co-founders, she saw the pain of scheduling. So by the time that she got to a meeting with me, she was like, I totally get this, right? I totally feel this pain, so I'm going to have this conversation. And then obviously we clicked, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Well done. Especially if she's a YC, I would say, experience she has out there. In terms of how do you lead when shit hits the fan?
So right now, fortunately, I wouldn't, nothing's hit it too bad right now. Yeah. I think what I think is important is, right now we're very goal orientated, right? So it's very clear what we're trying to achieve, and we communicate where we are against that goal. And then, so if I was to really break it down, so having a goal, but then having constant communication around the goal, it helps avoid things like hitting the fan, right? Because maybe you are below target,
Right.
but you're talking about it so you understand it. And also, I think by being really curious about what state the product is in. So for tech, like depth of QA. So maybe there are bugs that we accept just for speed or whatever it may be, but just knowing the known issues that when the things happen, we're very quick to respond to customers with clarity so they understand. So obviously you can't capture everything, but I think 99% of planning, which is goal, communication, and like just depth of QA helps to avoid some of those situations. Obviously there are moments where things do just surprise you, but I think just being healthy communication, being a team that can trust each other and also that we're all in it together can help mitigate some of that like tension if it happens.
Got it. Understood. And you've also moved from a corporate where you were managing or you've led teams, but now you're leading a company. What's the kind of biggest internal shift you're seeing right now or you've had to make?
I think it's kind of similar to what I mentioned. It's like when you're a kind of vertical executive at ByteDance, right? You've come in, you have a very specific task within the company, and that's your specialty. And obviously, you're leading a team and guiding them through your specialty, but it's like very vertical. But when you're the founder of a business, that vertical focus is now a tenth of your role, and actually potentially even the least important, right? It's more about financing, it's the health of the business, it's the
Got
health
it.
of the product, it's team culture, team chemistry, the constant trade-offs, right? It's constant quick decision making of, well, to move forward or move fast, we need to accept maybe some bugs or some issues that might have friction with users. Constant decision making with the greater good of the company and hopefully the success of the product in mind.
Got it. What's kind of what's your go-to philosophy for getting attention in today's attention craving world, especially since you're launching this product like Ting?
Yeah, I think so. So like, yeah, obviously, because of my background and spending a lot of time in social and growth and channels where the kind of earning attention is really important. My number one piece of advice for anybody who is hoping to earn attention is on the platform you're using,
Mhm.
understand how the algorithm works. Because if you understand how the algorithm works, you can engineer your content in a best possible way to give yourself chance. And that's not everything, right? So creativity and originality is incredibly important, but just by understanding like how the computer works or how the algorithm works, it'll help you think about content and how it might get distributed. So I'll give you an example. For TikTok, one of the most important metrics is view completion. So even just knowing that if TikTok values view completion, your number one objective creatively or from an attention point of view is to make sure that the viewer stays from 0 second to the last second. And now you know that, you can start to think about, okay, well, how do I pace my content? What elements do I need within my content? How can I use the end to maybe tease something, sorry, the start to tease something at the end? So I think just, and all of this information is publicly available. You can go to the blogs of
Yep.
Instagram or to Meta, look at some of their engineering papers, but I think that'll give you a really good understanding of like how to think about content on the platform and then bring your own point of view or creativity or originality on top.
Got it. And just coming back to, you said you were backed by Google. So what advice do you have for the first time founders trying to raise from credible partners like Google?
So I think there's like, so, it didn't come from nowhere, right? And it didn't come from
Right.
luck. You have to do a lot of research, right? So understand what initiatives or programs are available to founders, what programs are relevant to your business. And right now we're fortunate that obviously we work in AI and there's a lot of incentive, not just from Google, but from OpenAI and from
Yes.
Amazon to bring high potential startups through their technology and their programs. So we did a lot of research and
Mhm.
then choosing a tech partner is really important, right? Because on the one hand, you're getting this incredible backing and incredible resource, but you're also taking a very particular technical path. So we had to do some technical research, then we had to do some research of the programs out there, and then we had to apply and convince them that our idea, our team, our trajectory would be relevant for them and their business. So lots of partnership conversations, lots of research and lots of like very tailored messaging and material to hopefully like kind of get closer to that deal.
Got it. Got it. And when it comes to building Ting, I think it was Rick Rubin. He helped you listen to your kind of inner signals. How do you stay mentally clear and avoid further burnout out there? Was it Rick Rubin, right? You mentioned.
It was, creative, very introverted person, spend a lot of time in my head. So I have a lot of ideas that kind of float in and float out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I think it's the same for everybody, right? You'll think about something and it'll kind of pass through your brain and then just kind of go out as quickly as it came in. The idea for Ting kind of came in, and I've been listening to a lot of Rick Rubin at the time, and he talks a lot about how for recording artists, actually like listening to those signals or understanding that melody that they can't get out of their head might actually be like a high level like message that they should tune
Right.
into. So I'm not saying I'm a recording artist or could make great music, but it did make me think, okay, well maybe there's something in this idea, right? I can't shake it. If I can't shake it and it's it's stuck in my head, and I think I just interrogated it a bit more. And then I think what the most important thing that I did, which was different to the past, is I started to share it. And when I shared it with like my mentors and people around me, and they validated it, I had my own internal signal that I tuned into, and then they
Right.
had validation from a peer group, and that just gave me confidence to really chase it down and build it out. And then I think ideas or songs in Rick Rubin's world tend to take a life of their own. So big gratitude for the Creative Act by Rick Rubin and all of his work. But then just staying mentally clear. I'm a big runner, so I run
Okay.
every morning. And that for me, that hour in the morning is where I just unpack mentally. Well, it's where I listen to podcasts, right? So I get a chance to tune into smart people. But also, I just think sometimes going for a walk or going for a run, if you've got a problem or you've got an idea, you can unpack it in new ways, which you can't do when you're sitting facing emails or Slack. So yeah, I think that's where I get my respite.
Is that your one personal discipline that you have, which you can rely to stay sharp day to day running?
Getting up early and then going for a run or going, some kind of, a walk or some kind of fitness. I think that's kind of what keeps me sane. Yeah, it keeps me focused. Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. I think that's one of the key things I always ask my guests is, what's to stay mentally fit, what do you do, and to stay physically fit? Obviously, I'm assuming you said running, so that's good. How do you mentally
Yeah.
fit? How, especially in the creative space, right? Because you're always thinking about new ideas and new things, and how do you balance all that?
Yeah. And just one other thing that I'm becoming more passionate about is just a mixed digest. I think it's very in this world right now, it's very easy to kind of just pursue your interests or podcasts that
Mm-hmm.
presenters that maybe you identify with. But actually I think these days encouraging yourself to listen to a much wider digest, so you
Mm-hmm.
hear ideas from all different angles, all different perspectives. I think that's what keeps you curious, right? Just because the danger is you just reaffirm your own views by listening to the same media, but by
Right.
trying to seek more context or seek more perspective, hopefully you stay more curious and more rounded and connect more dots at the end of the day.
So give us a couple of examples what you'll now listen to, which has kind of widen that horizon of podcasts. Yeah.
I've never had a deep appreciation for UK politics. I've lived in the States, and I think the world is very obsessed with American politics just because
Yes.
it's so prevalent to the world. But now one of my favorite podcasts is a UK politics show. So anyway, and that was a conscious decision to understand more about UK politics. Same with history. One of my other favorite podcasts right now is history related. So I'm currently understanding how famous moments in history came to be, and it's really interesting to listen to because there's a lot of patterns that just repeat themselves. 'Cause I think human nature is the consistent, right? So actually, when you hear stories from the past, you kind of see the parallels to the present, and now I have a greater appreciation of just like humanity and the cycles that we go through. So yeah, so history and politics not normally I'm more of a tech sports culture creator kind of guy. So now I've, broadened out to history and politics and yeah, new areas.
And listening to all those kind of things, have those kind of so-called patterns found its way to Ting also in any shape or form? This broad enough
I don't think,
horizon.
yeah, not yet, not yet. I don't think so, not yet. But I
Okay.
do think, yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's a parallel to anything that we're doing right now. No, I think I think for the UK politics show, it gives you a greater appreciation of the government and the regulation and the laws and the point of view on technology from a different angle than from the tech, right? From the tech world. So I think if anything, I'm just having a greater appreciation of how you grow and lead a business in the UK and some of the things that maybe in the future we'll start to experience.
Love it. Speaking of Ting, what does kind of success look like for Ting in the next 12 to 24 months?
Just users that love us,
Hmm.
users that we become a habit that every time that they need a meeting, you CC and Ting, and it kind of takes that admin pain away. A North Star, we have two kind of metrics and they kind of interchange over time. So right now it's total number of meetings booked, right? So how many
Right.
people are using the product and how many people are coming together thanks to Ting. But then one
Hmm.
of the special aspects of Ting is that if you're both Ting users, obviously Ting doesn't need to communicate in an email thread because it knows your calendars and it knows your preferences and it can do it instantly on the server. So right now, total meeting bookings, but then over time, what percentage of that was just done Ting to Ting, right, through Ting users? Because then scheduling pain just completely disappears because technology does it kind of on the server versus in your inbox.
Got it. And in terms of Ting, where's kind of the target market sitting more onto the enterprise corporate level and more onto the SME, SMB level?
I think eventually we will. Right now, we're kind of more the prosumer. And interestingly, if you think who is meeting motivated, so meetings aren't just for most of us, meetings are get-togethers, right? But for some people, it's the difference between a new client, a new deal, or a new partnerships. Think consultants, freelancers, entrepreneurs, founders, they want to have a meeting. They want to do it in the most guest forward, convenient way. And if that meeting happens, potentially a source of livelihood. So that's always been our ICP hypothesis, and we've done a lot of discovery calls. But the one demographic that I think we underlooked and who've been very vocal and they've been the ones that have been jumping on calls with me like every week are what I call like productivity seekers. So people who, maybe they work in recruitment or maybe they work in software, but they really have a passion for how technology can streamline their life, right? So they get personal efficiency, not just professional efficiency. So I would say every time that I do a call out for feedback or calls, they're the ones that are like, okay, let's jump on a call and I'll give you some feedback. So yeah, productivity seekers as well, which are great because they're early adopters, the type of consumers that will kind of create that habit and also just fiercely loyal, right? So kind of talking about the value they see within their own networks and social media.
Love it. And talk to me about your top three marketing strategies that have worked to get Ting out to the users out there, to the market out there right now.
I would say number one is content and creativity. So LinkedIn, I would say, has been
Right.
our primary growth. We're active on almost every platform, but if I was to say which platform have we seen the most success and traction, LinkedIn. And I think
Hmm.
there's two reasons to that. One is we all have our own personal inbuilt networks that you're able to
Yes.
leverage, right?
Yeah.
Which is incredibly important. But also the context of LinkedIn is very professional. So the subject or the idea of saving time on meeting bookings is just like perfect for that audience. So having thoughtful conversations, and when I say thoughtful, just like we provoke ideas, like what if that $1 billion idea died because you couldn't get that meeting together, right? So like how much momentum has been lost by just not getting that meeting on the book. So it's the problem, but put in a way that kind of captures imagination and attention. And then I would say the biggest strategy is like one-to-one outreach. So we are fiercely visible and active on Reddit, on Product Hunt, on
Right.
Quora. We are answering questions. We are looking at the communities that have a need for this type of product, and we're trying to answer their questions and familiarize ourselves with them. And then the big benefit of this type of outreach, as well as LinkedIn, is if the future of search moves from kind of traditional search engines to ChatGPT or Perplexity, etc. Right now, from what I'm reading, some of the biggest sources of content are places like Reddit and Quora and some of
Yeah.
these very specific blogs. So whilst we were doing it for customer feedback and outreach, there's also a benefit that we're starting to see some of our outreach and communications being served and indexed on ChatGPT or Gemini as well.
Love it. And what kind of guidance you'll give to startups, founders who are just beginning on this journey, right? They have this product, they think they can solve it, and they want to solve it, and they're using AI. What are kind of top one or two lessons or three lessons you can tell the listeners out
So
here?
yeah, I had a call last night with somebody I used to work with at ByteDance and
Hmm.
who left to work in AI and is now in a government role in AI. And he said it's kind of interesting about Ting and the way we approach it is there's so much great technology, there's so much great product, and building has never been easier or more compelling than ever, right? So
Yes, true.
you have this like abundance of technology and you have this abundance of access to tools that can create things quickly or in ways that you couldn't imagine. However, what's harder than ever, like we talked about, is standing out and earning attention. So in my experience so far, like especially being quite deep in product hunt, I see 10 amazing products a day, right? And I'm like, I love all those products, but I think the biggest lesson is technology is maybe not the differentiator as well. It's brand and story. So how do you take your product and the problem you're trying to solve and elevate it to capture attention and use the right marketing or growth tactics to be seen? So I think it's really focus on product and make something amazing, because that will grow when people find it, but also be really, really obsessed with how are people going to find it, right? What are all the different channels that you can use? Stack rank them, based on what costs nothing to what costs the most, and just work your way down the punch list to make sure that you are constantly finding users that would be interested in the product and the problem you're trying to solve.
That's amazing. And also something which you mentioned is understand the algorithm of the platforms you're actually working
And
with.
that's the first step. That's the first, like I said, the first step, just understand the platforms you operate on, and it will really pay dividends in terms of how you maximize content efficiency and just start to see some of the outcome of your work on the platforms.
And Dan, just to wrap this up, what do you want to be known for?
So right now, connecting people in the most human way possible using AI, because I think right now AI is in some world seen as something that will break us apart or take us out of the loop. But actually, we see it as an accelerant. So AI can get us together, because when we're together, that's where the originality, the creativity, all the magic truly happens. Yeah, I think AI to connect people is a great place to start.
Right. Okay. I did say the last one, but I think this is definitely the last one. If your daughter listened to this episode in 15 years, okay, what would you want her to learn from this story of yours and this journey of yours?
I would like her to see the passion for work and the passion for connecting people. And I hope that all of this effort leads to like a foundation of an awesome life for us together.
Love it. Love it. Yes, I think that connecting people, I think in this day of technology, I think people are
It's
so
the right place to
isolated.
be.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Dan, great having you on the show. Thank you. That's a wrap for today. It's a pod.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.